Lizard people control the world. Mark Zuckerberg isn't human. The 1969 moon landing was faked, and it was recorded in a studio. Vaccines are dangerous. And the COVID vaccine has a tracking chip inside of it. Chances are you've heard one of these conspiracy theories. Probably on the internet. The truth is, there's no solid evidence to support these claims, except maybe the Mark Zuckerberg one. A 2019 poll from Insider found that almost 80% of people in the United States believe at least one unproven theory, conspiracy or not. But what is a conspiracy theory, and why do people believe them? A conspiracy theory is the belief that a group of people are working together in secret to accomplish an evil goal or evil goals. While on the surface they seem to make sense, when you cross-reference and you check the sources, you do your fact-checking, they just don't add up. Well, research points to at least a few reasons why people believe conspiracy theories. First, I want you to think about when you normally encounter them, like about the social and political climate when you hear a conspiracy theory, like what's going on around you when you hear one. Not a coincidence that conspiracy theories come out during troubling times. Conspiracy theories make sense of the world and reduce uncertainty. Maybe people are afraid. Whether it's a terrorist attack, an economic depression, or a pandemic, conspiracy theories claim to make sense of distressing times and events. Uncertainty drives us, especially for those who have a high need for cognitive closure, people who are uncomfortable until they get answers. The explanation kind of gives us a sense of control. A study found that people who feel disempowered psychologically and sociopolitically are more likely to believe in conspiracy theory. Did a group lose an important election? Researchers hypothesized that by believing conspiracy theories that portray the outgroup as enemies, people are able to feel better about their own social group or political party. Suspicion, or being suspicious of others, might actually have an evolutionary benefit or advantage, according to experts. For example, Dr. Richard A. Friedman, professor of clinical psychiatry, wrote a paper titled "Why Humans Are Vulnerable to Conspiracy Theories." So, just to paraphrase what he said something like this: being capable of imagining others collaborating to form groups to cause harm to your clan is an adaptive advantage. Being suspicious of others, even if you're wrong, is a safer strategy than just having carefree trust. I mean, logically speaking, it's being suspicious of others that'll protect you from enemy attacks. So Friedman suggested that the paranoia that makes people scan for danger may have provided a survival advantage. Apophenia. Apple what now? So I learned that apophenia is a word that means the tendency to connect the dots, to seek and find patterns everywhere. And the human brain is designed to find patterns in basically everything, like how we see animals or faces in clouds or in rocks. Friedman explains that even when we detect random things, we see a pattern so that we can try to make sense of the world quickly. We see connections between events when none actually exist. To put this into perspective, I'll share the example of gaming developer Reed Berkowitz. He talks about apophenia in the gaming world. In one of his games, players have to find a clue in the basement to move on. The real clue was actually really obvious, but many players overlooked it and instead directed their attention to a few loose floorboards. They thought the floorboards were in the shape of an arrow that was pointing to a wall, so the players started tearing down that wall. Their assumptions were normal and logical, but they were completely wrong. They also help maintain a good self-image. Now, this one's a little tricky to explain, but I'll try my best. We have a need to feel good about ourselves and about our actions. If a child has unexplained health issues, either psychologically or physiologically, believing a conspiracy theory that pharmaceutical companies are purposely making kids sick with vaccines can sound appealing. It's easy to blame others in order to reduce our own stress. If we're unemployed or we're struggling financially, it can make us vulnerable to believe that there's an underground cult or group responsible for our struggles. I'm not saying that the world is a socioeconomic meritocracy. I'm not saying that oppression doesn't exist. I'm not saying racism, discrimination, racial profiling, microaggressions don't exist, because there's actual research and empirical evidence to support that these things exist. Just look at the work of one of my professors, Dr. Daryl Wing Su. What I am saying is that it's easier to believe that a secret group of lizard people within the government rigs every election and keeps you, specifically, unemployed than it is to believe that maybe you're not qualified for the job that you want. And that may not be the best example either, because there are actual practices that companies and banks use to keep certain people poor, like redlining, for example. But you have to draw the line when you can't find any robust scholarly research on the matter. there is excitement in it. For example, QAnon, how do you pronounce this? Is a conspiracy theory that former President Donald Trump is a secret agent fighting to save the world from a satanic group of pedophiles, sex traffickers, and cannibals, led by Democratic politicians. I didn't even know that this was a thing. That's how you know I live under a rock. But anyways, there is a thrill in being the only one who knows a secret. QAnon might be convincing because it plays on people's fears. It portrays Donald Trump and his party as heroes, saving kids from satanists and pedophiles. It also plays on the thrill to solve mysteries. It also provides an explanation and a hopeful future for things that aren't quite going the way you want them to. So like, apparently this anonymous government insider known as Q leaves mysterious clues and riddles so that he can expose the mechanisms of the deep state, and these clues can be anything from the color of the lights on the White House on a certain date to coded messages on internet forums. This sounds like it came out of an anime or a Hollywood movie. Berkowitz, the game developer, who obviously has experience creating stories and games, says QAnon is like a game. Plot twist, right? It gives you a dopamine rush. When you move on to the next level of a game, it gives you a little thrill. Berkowitz says that it places people in an exciting reality, but it has the intensity and emotional vibrance of a fiction. What also draws people to this is that you're part of a community of people who are trying to save the world. So fact check for misleading information, cross-reference your sources, don't believe everything you read on the internet, don't believe every claim that sounds like it might be true. Until next time, ciao cacao.